Author opinion of Dennis Kin at the history, geography and architecture, culture and life manners of Kazakhs in the program Discovering Kazakhstan.
Salam, привет, and hello. I'm Dennis Kin, and today on Discovering Kazakhstan, we will be discovering summer fun in the coastal province of Mangistau. Not that many people even realize that Kazakhstan has a coast. After all, it's a landlocked country in the middle of Central Asia. But in fact, Mangistau is a province that has this long, beautiful coastline along the world's largest lake, the Caspian Sea. We've come here right before the beginning of the summer tourist season that runs from June to September to see what kind of opportunities for rest and relaxation we can find in the summer sun. If you follow the Caspian coastline south from the provincial capital of Aktau, you'll find a string of these idyllic beach resorts. And now you can see they're not quite ready for business, but in a few weeks this beach is going to be covered in tourists with their umbrellas. And out here on the ocean you'll see banana boats and parasailing, and pretty much you'll be able to find anything that a beach-going tourist would ever dream of. The water here is a beautiful shade of this kind of turquoise, grayish green. And most importantly, it's super clean here. There are other parts along the Caspian where there's lots of industry and people and pollution, and it's not the best place to go for a swim. But here, it is crystal clear. It is a little bit cold now, but by the time tourist season starts, it's going to be at that perfect temperature for a frolic in the waves. A lot of the accommodation in Central Asia can, for the Western traveler, be a little bit shabby. But in Mangistau, there are tons of very well-appointed resorts like this one, with very nicely pruned lawns and cute little planters, and these cute, squat little whitewashed homes that wouldn't be out of place in the Mediterranean. But that we're here in Kazakhstan on the Caspian makes it that much more of a welcome surprise. These kind of resorts in Kazakhstan are called Zona Otdыха, which means zone of rest. And it's a kind of place where people will often just come from nearby cities for the day just to relax by the sea. But then they also have hotel rooms where if you're tired at the end of the day and you don't feel like driving back home, you can stay here, put yourself up for the night. For anybody who's traveled around Central Asia and is used to these old, tiny little dusty Soviet rooms, this is not like that at all. All along the Caspian coast, you can now find these very nice hotels with lovely rooms like this. Most importantly, they have air conditioning for those hot summer months, so you can come in here and have a very nice sleep. That's the great thing, is that you could just head right out of your room and you're already here on the beach. You've got these nice little benches where you can curl up, read a book, or look out at the Caspian and just think about how funny it is that you are where you are, here sitting on the beach in a landlocked country called Kazakhstan. They say that the Caspian is great for fishing, but I wouldn't really know. The first time I ever went fishing was on an episode of Discovering Kazakhstan when we were in Uralsk, and I'm pretty sure that the fish were actually placed in that lake specifically for me to catch them. Out here on the sea, it's considerably harder, but they say that it's worth it because from the pier here, you can catch a kind of fish that they call mullet. Now back home in America, mullet is a kind of funny haircut, but for people here, mullet is a prize catch. They also have little boats that will take you out on the open water where you can catch a kind of fish called zander, apparently also very tasty. But today, alas, is not the best day for fishing, what with this wind, so we're gonna have to leave it for another time. For Kazakhs, a vacation is not a vacation unless there is a banya. The banya is the kind of Russian sauna, this wood-paneled room with a big oven in the corner where it gets seriously hot. You sit here and you sweat out all your dirt and grime. Meanwhile, there are these bundles of leaves called veniki, and you take the bundles and you whack your skin or you whack your friend, and it gets your blood running and it makes your whole kind of body stand at attention. And when you just can't stand the heat anymore, you run out the door straight into the ocean. The cool thing at this resort is that after sweating there in the sauna, you don't have to step out onto the hot sand. You can just run along this special pier that they built right into the sunset. If you're looking for a place to have a nice short hike or set up a picnic, locals can show you to the special place called Mis Melovoy. It translates into English as chalky point because all along here are these gorgeous, breathtaking chalk cliffs. Now from here you can enjoy this amazing view out over the Caspian. You can see the tankers coming in to set up at Aktau port. You can see the yachts out in the bay. Enjoy the view, but be careful because the cliffs here are quite sharp and you don't want to stumble over. Tourists can come to Kazakhstan from a variety of different ways. Sometimes they cross overland from Kyrgyzstan, they fly in from Europe. But I just met these guys out on Shaki Point who've had quite an adventure. You guys came all the way across the Caspian Sea from Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Now, that means that Aktau is the very first place that you're seeing here in Kazakhstan. And I'm curious, what was that trip like? How did you feel when you got here?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, we came from Holland. We bought a camper. It's an old army ambulance. It's a Land Rover with my friend Joris. And then we drove all the way to Europe and Turkey, Georgia and Azerbaijan, and from there we took the Caspian Sea ferry, where we met these wonderful people. Yeah. These people are hitchhikers, and we'll take them further on the trip.
So, even though Aktau is not the biggest city in Kazakhstan, you can see that it's actually becoming this kind of tourist hub, because travelers from all over the world are coming here through Azerbaijan, through other ports of entry, and this is their very first impression of Kazakhstan. And I think you guys are lucky to be here, because this is one of the most beautiful places in the entire country. So enjoy Aktau.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
1, 2, 3, cheese!
Well, we had muesli with fruit, and then we had this squashed tomatoes because we were sleeping on it.
It was comfy. It was comfy.
We were driving out on this steppe, trying to have a day outing out in the beautiful nature of Mangostan. We ran into our European friends that we met yesterday out on Shaki Point. They said that they're up for an adventure, so they're going to come along with us as we visit the lowest point in all of Kazakhstan, Karagia. Our traveler friends have quite the ride. They're driving all the way across Kazakhstan in this old Land Rover. It used to be an army ambulance, but they've fitted it out as a camper, and they've definitely fitted it out in their own style. Everywhere they're going through Kazakhstan, they're taking this plant with them as company, and they say they want to keep it until they get all the way back to Holland where they started, plant it in their garden there. If you look at their car here, I mean, it's really got everything campers might need. They've got their backpacks, of course, and they can even camp up on their roof. They put a pallet up there where they can sleep at night. Inside, they've got bread, they've got water, they've got everything they might need for a long trip on the road. Now today, we really are going out into the steppe. It's not easy to find a lot of these places in Mangistau, so it's useful to have some kind of guide. That's why they're with us. So what does a traveler need for a long trip out into the steppe? They've got a little cactus to keep them company, apparently. A bag full of bananas, a bunch of bread down here, and they got this big speaker so they can cruise along to some tunes. See you later on the road. I would say that there are two very distinct forms of Mangistau tourism that you can find here in the summer. Sitting on the beach is awesome, enjoying some kind of cocktail, feeling the sea breeze, but it's also great to get out into the steppe. From the capital of Oktau, there's a series of day trips that you can make to go see the geological formations that Oktau is famous for. This entire region is full of these amazing canyons and physical landscapes. Once you get out of the city, though, you lose all kind of signs of civilization, and it's just you and the steppe and the camels on the horizon. Today, we're going to a place called Karakia Depression, which is once the lowest point in the entire Soviet Union. And here, out on the steppe, adventure lays ahead of us. So we arrived to the Karakia Depression, and what can I say but it's deep. You look down there and you got this majestic canyon out in the distance. It almost reminds me of the Grand Canyon back home. And beyond that, we have what we thought was a lake. It's this kind of mirage that turns out to be a kind of salt flat. There's a word for this in Russian that has actually been introduced into English by geologists. It's called Solenchak. This kind of low point, far below the sea level, it's actually pretty rare on planet Earth. But here we're standing at what was once the lowest part in the entire Soviet Union. The wind here is blowing like crazy. You can just face it like this, feel like you can fly off into the horizon. Now my buddies have gone down below. They say that there's a way down. We'll go have a hike. It's at least a nice place to walk around, enjoy some fresh air, and get some wind in your face. In Kazakhstan, traveling usually means going flat, flat, flat along the steppe. But for the last hour, we've been going down, down, down to what is the deepest point in the entire country, and what was in fact the deepest point in the entire Soviet Union. It's called the Karakia Depression. The site itself is really something to see. It's this massive plateau, and at the very end, you see what you might think is some kind of lake. It's a mirage. This is, in fact, a kind of salt flat that's called a Solenchak. Here we also have quite a beautiful canyon and an entire landscape that we can explore on foot. So look what the guys found when they came down into this valley. They found a massive skull of a camel. I'm starting to think that it may be a warning that we shall not go any further. But it's actually pretty cool to find. I've never seen a skull this big. They're now tempted to put it on the hood of their car as a kind of hood ornament. I think it's a little bit gruesome, but it's a pretty neat little thing to find along the trail. So we made it all the way down to the canyon itself. Wojciech, you're from Czech Republic.
Yes.
You've traveled all across Europe and part of Asia to get here.
Yes.
Have you seen anything like this?
No, on our way here we didn't see anything like this. Not like deep, big stony things. We saw some canyons in Azerbaijan, but it was like mountains, inside the mountains. But this desert, and after that, empty space, no.
Well, this is deeper than anything in Azerbaijan, right? Because in all of the former USSR, this was it.
Yeah.
And it's actually quite a landscape, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
How do you feel sitting here? What kind of thoughts are going through your head?
To my head, like totally empty head. There is nothing.
So it's like a peaceful feeling.
Like
here.
the peaceful feeling.
Yeah. No, I feel that too, because here it's really just the sound of the wind and some chirping birds. And it's such a kind of barren, rugged landscape. You have these little sagebrush and you have a few flowers. But for the most part, we're the only people here. So it's just our little group here to enjoy the isolation and the beautiful view.
Yeah.
Well, it was really nice to share it with you guys. You have a big adventure ahead of you.
Thank you.
So we
very
want to
much.
wish you the best.
It was great to meet you.
Yeah. From the
To
people of
speak with
Kazakhstan, we're wishing you to have a nice trip.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will have, because so far it looks that it will be great here.
Good luck.
Thank you.
When you come to Mangostau, of course it'll be really nice to sit on the beach, relax on the sand, but the water is so blue and calm that you just can't help but want to get out there. So we found kind of private marina where people keep their sailboats, and when the weather gets warm and the sea breeze beckons, we can head out on a ship like this and enjoy what the Caspian has to offer. In many cities throughout Kazakhstan and the former Soviet Union, it's a kind of wedding day tradition to ride around town and have photo shoots in front of famous places. But Aktau has a very unique tradition, as they're here located on the sea. The bride and the groom will often go out on a big catamaran for a photo shoot out on the Caspian. Could you think of anything more romantic than that? Than them out there with just the water and the sky and the beautiful sea. Have a nice trip! Kotek Taimin. Congratulations, I said. If you go inside the marina's office, you can find this amazing kind of Hall of Fame. And while Aktau may be the only port in Kazakhstan, and there aren't that many sailors here, those sailors that are in this city have achieved some amazing things. Here, for example, is a guy named Leonid Ivanov, who rode this little yacht that he called Baby all around the world. And it's so kind of fun to see him here wearing his Central Asian tubateka somewhere in a tropical isle. And he wasn't the only one. And he wasn't the only one. There was another guy named Yevgeny Gvozdov who also went all the way around the world on his little boat. And you look at this boat and I can't even imagine how you could make it across the Caspian, yet alone make it all around the planet. Some impressive bravery from these Aktau citizens. Over here, there was this whole team that rowed a sailboat called Shokhan Walikhanov, named after a famous Kazakh ethnographer. They made it all the way around the world in bits and pieces, but they were so successful that they were actually greeted by the president himself. So really a pretty impressive list of feats accomplished by people from just this small marina in this small port in a small city on the Caspian Sea called Aktau. Every marina should have its own cool clubhouse where members can hang out, and the one in Aktau is amazing. It has this very kind of historic atmosphere. It's been here for quite a while because the marina opened way back in 1977, so this is way back during the Soviet Union. And it certainly has that kind of Soviet feel here. So we have these old maps up on the wall showing the Caspian Sea and the different sea levels for the sailors who are going out there. You have these old model ships with this antique flair, and an old piano called the Red October built in Leningrad itself. The guy who owns this place said that they took off the board here so that it would be a little bit louder. I can imagine that it gets raucous when they have big parties in here. He says that they're playing little sea shanties and reminiscing about their time out on the water. At the Hall of Fame, we learned how Leonid Ivanov circumnavigated the globe with his boat named Baby, but he is still not satisfied. So it's fun to see out here in the marina his new project. It's his new boat called Boy. And it's fun to think that this boat, which is in this very modest marina in Oktau, one day might travel all around the planet. I just can't get enough of this marina's kind of rough sailor charm. They've got anchors strewn about. Here they have this kind of makeshift stage with marine symbols that are put up there with blue tape, this kind of deep banner that they put up showing some kind of tropical scene, the helm of some big pirate ship. So they use this stage to have concerts where sailors come together and they have a jolly good time. The skipper here is named Dmitry, and he's the son of the experienced marina owner. He spent his entire childhood out here on the Caspian, and he really knows his way around this boat. As well he should. The boat is actually named after him. It's called Dmitry. So Dmitry's here putting up the sails on Dmitry, and we don't have much wind today, but on a windy day, I can just imagine how this thing would take off. This is the ultimate Caspian cruising machine. We have this amazing hammock we can lay on and watch the water pass below us. Beautiful white sail waving in the wind. But even without the sail, they've got a motor. You can take this out any day of the year. Mangestau is great for people like me who love to go hiking because you can walk through beautiful gorges like this one called Saura Gorge. If it's too hot in the sun, you can come over into the shade. It's relatively verdant compared to the arid steppe. And at the very end, you'll be rewarded with a small little pond that locals call Turtle Pond. And what an oasis is this? Out on the steppe, it seems like a dry desert, but here we have a little marsh full of turtles, frogs, swallows, and sparrows are flying around. You can get here actually from down there. If you walk from the Caspian Sea, it goes all the way up this gorge and you can come and even dip your feet into this little pond here. Kazakhstan's best kept secret are its sandy beaches like this one, called Golubaya Bukhta, which means Blue Bay. Sure, you can go down to the beach when you're in Aktau, but here, there's no music, no crowds, just you, the sand, and the sound of the surf. If you walk along the cliffs over on one side of Golubaya Bukhta, alongside of this bay, you'll find these beautiful tide pools. And back home, when I was a kid, we used to go and climb around these tide pools looking for little sea anemones and fishies. But when I came here, I noticed that they actually have these slithery little snakes. Now, I can't confirm that they're safe, but they certainly look friendly. Yoo-hoo! If your kids are anything like I was when I was a kid, they're monkeys who love to climb things. And, well, I still love to climb, and lucky for us, over here on the edge of the bay, there are these limestone cliffs that are a lot of fun to scramble up, and from there you got a beautiful view over the bay. I'm also all the way to the top, and I have a beautiful look at this lizard guy. He's going like this, doing, oh, hey, buddy. He's got this beautiful blue neck. It's about this big. Hello. Just look at this. The glittering sea, the waves lapping at the shore, rocks and sand on which to frolic, and not a single person in sight. I've got this whole bay to myself. Where else could you find some place this special? You certainly wouldn't expect to find it in a place like Kazakhstan, but that's why we keep on discovering. Thank you for joining us today on Discovering Kazakhstan. Until next time, Sobol, Baka, and goodbye.